Public live public. All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to Permaculture Smackdown. I am Josiah Wallingford, and my lovely host here.
I'm Paul Wheaton.
Welcome everybody to another episode. We're excited to have everybody here. So we were just talking about, for those that don't know, we do a pre-show and a post-show for those that are supporters of Paul's Patreon or members of the ThriveThrough.com community, students of Permaethos. And so they get in early and get to hang out after the live show. And we were just talking about adding businesses. So you have a thing called the Pi program, which is like you get Pi at Permies.com and you can do a bunch of cool shit with it, including getting discounts to a bunch of stuff. And so we list businesses there that are offering discounts for people that have the Permies Pi, pieces of pie. And we were just talking about adding some extra peoples here. They're getting their companies on there with some special discounts for the pie peeps.
So basically, I think a piece of pie is $3, and then it's $3 a month. It lasts a month, and it gives you access to a bunch of stuff. And then it's like I think we currently have like 9 businesses where they give you some kind of really sweet discount if you have pie. Mm-hmm. And so what we try to do is promote those businesses here and there, but mostly in that Pi thread, which gets promoted heavily throughout the site. We provide a link to their thread on Permies, and we only provide lots of stuff. So somebody, one of our users, one of our supporters, was talking about doing some work while watching the show simultaneously, and mentioned business stuff. And so Josiah said, well, we should get you in on this thing. I mean, basically it's free publicity. All you got to, offer a discount on the inside and mention that you offer a discount on the outside. And there we get you a link. We get you a little publicity. We'll mention you.
And some businesses are doing, they do like a discount for all Permies people and then like a special discount for the pie people. Hey, what are you drinking out of? Let me see that. Hold that back up. Oh, okay. I had a mason jar.
Oh, okay. I find that the mason jar, the little ring, sometimes I seem to dribble on myself more often with a mason jar.
Well, you can't fit like the fruit and stuff in here because, I'm drinking moonshine because I'm about to go on a long drive. And no, it's water. But the mason jars are nice because you can stick big pieces of fruit down there if you are drinking moonshine, which Paul, you're a drinker. So you wouldn't know.
I'm not a drinker. I do know that for about an hour before the show started, we got a sweet deal from Diego, and the Permaculture Voices guy. And so we got all the video from Permaculture Voices 1, 2, and 3. And for 72 hours, we are putting it up in the Pi program for, I think it's $165 for all 3 conferences.
That's a huge discount.
And the names, the permaculture names are all the bigs. It's amazing. So yeah, I think he sold it for like the first year after PV1. I think it was $300 to get the video for the first year. And so to be able to offer all 3 years for just $165, just to Pi people. So I've been so it's been an hour. We've sold 2 already. So yeah, it's just for 62 hours. There you go. Along those lines. And so there's I think it's time for other businesses to come in. We had some other businesses that were signed up for it 2 years ago, but we're like, hey, is your deal still happening? And then they didn't reply. So we took them off the list.
No.
I think that's pretty basic, but I'd like to think that by 3 weeks from now, we'll have 25 businesses.
Yeah.
Listed. I'm hoping. I think that'd be cool.
I think that Permaculture Voices is huge, man.
You get
it's a shitload of great conference. Like so for those that don't know, Permaculture Voices is this huge conference with like all the leaders of permaculture big name people in permaculture, and they're all doing seminars where they're talking about really cool shit, a lot of business stuff. And
so I think there's about 3 or 4 hours of stuff with Willie Smits. I think there's 3 or 4 hours of stuff with Alan Savory. And this is just PV1. And then of course, I think there's a good 4 hours with Jeff Lawton. I think there's 3 hours with Elaine Ingham.
And then that's just people. There's tons.
Some giant dumb fucking overalls just couldn't stop swearing on the stage. So Diego had to mark all of those as like, warning, warning.
It's Paul. Be careful. Yeah, so it's got to be over 100 hours. If you're doing if he's giving away all 3 of those,
all 3 of them,
it's got to be over 100 hours.
Anyway, so you were talking about the business deals, and we got and so I think the daily-ish that's going out today is going to mention this deal. And I was asking this guy, hey, are you on the daily-ish? He says, yes, I am, but probably only read it once a week. But I think it's on the daily-ish where
you should get on the weekly-ish.
So I think it's on the daily-ish where we mentioned, like, hey, if you got a business, you want to get some free publicity, do this. So
I'll send the link. I'll put the link. Brian, I will put the link in the chat for you so you can go to it and get signed up. It's coffee. He offers coffee. Discount on coffee? Fuck yeah.
I think another thing is we do pretty which show do you think you're on? So I think if anybody's got a permaculture business of any kind, I think we're really good about, like, we've actually got a forum called Blatant Advertising, but most of the time when people post there, somebody on the staff will add another forum to your post. But go ahead and go to Blatant Advertising and talk about your business, talk about your product, talk about whatever. And so, yeah, we'll give you free publicity. Events, if you publish in the workshops forum, I've got it set up so you will automatically, any post there automatically gets like, I think it's $100 worth of thread boost. And so a lot of the stuff that gets there. Yeah, so if you post a workshop there, I've been watching, and a lot of the posts there will get 5,000 views. But you gotta add at least one image. If you don't add any images, it's like
more text.
People today tend to not click on it unless there's an image attached.
I think people in general don't like reading on a computer. Like, how many ebooks do you read on a computer? Yeah, you buy the physical book. A lot of people. So I don't know.
Maybe my stuff's kind of boring on a computer. I write a lot, text.
Okay, there's the link for those that want to promote biz. So you can't see the link if you are not part of our special group. So I will show the page. So if you go to Permies and just search promote your biz, it'll be there. And then there's a form you can fill out, and you can see all the people that have promoted stuff. And of course, I'm looking at it from like a moderator's view, so you're seeing all this pink stuff. Cool. Sandy says, Sandy here. I'll be listening while I do the dishes. Awesome, Sandy. Bear Paw is out lettering a truck. Oh, cool. Okay. Let me see what that looks like. Anyway, all right. Hey, I posted the stuff you want to talk about in chat. Because you were like, hey, I want to talk about this stuff. And I was like, holy shit, man. We don't have that much time. But let's just go through it.
All right.
Hey, wait, is my stuff in there that I told you out? Yeah. Oh, at the bottom.
At the bottom. Oh, I mean, I'm making a list, and you said, oh, I got one thing to add, and I put it in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Next time, you make the list.
All right. We'll do one of yours, and then I'm talking about mine, and then you can do the rest of yours.
All right. I'm just going to go down those Rocket Kitchen.
Yeah.
And so when does that start? Is that Thursday? No, Wednesday?
Wednesday. Day after tomorrow, or tomorrow. Yeah. Tomorrow. No, day after tomorrow. It starts day after tomorrow. Tomorrow is like the getting ready for it. So it's a workshop, right?
Which is totally free, but you had to apply.
Right.
And so then Ernie and Erica picked the 6 people that are coming, and you're not one of the 6, but you get to get in because you're going to video it. Yeah,
I didn't get picked. I was like, hey, fucked up. Yeah, so I'm gonna go there and video it, and me and Tuesday, which is my girlfriend, for those that don't know, Tuesday, because I say that and people are like, "Why is Josiah bringing a day of the week?" So Tuesday's coming, and she's gonna help film as well, and that's why you got confused with tomorrow, because tomorrow is like prep time for the film crew and for Ernie and Erica to get everything ready for the workshop.
So you know that the show is Tuesday at 2, right?
Yeah.
So somehow it seems like Tuesday should be involved, but I don't know.
Hey, it's Tuesday on Permaculture Smackdown. Tuesdays at 2.
In fact, Willa Wonka is right now, as we speak, getting prepped to go up to the lab because all of this Rocket Kitchen event is happening up at the lab, and then the Peasant PTC will be all up at the lab. All of that's happening at the lab. The Schmoozeroo is up at the lab. So everybody's welcome. If you can see this, you're invited. You can come to the Schmoozeroo. It's going to be going like 36 days long or something like that, and you could come for any day in the middle that you want.
So immediately after today's Smackdown, I am heading to Paul's place to be there from the 15th to the 20th, and then I'm leaving the 21st. So if you want to meet up with me, I'll be there.
Julia says Elliot is leaving Wednesday morning, maybe with a tote if someone responds to his post on the Rocket Kitchen thread. Hint, hint. Maybe with a tote.
Where's Elliot leaving from? Why is this
Portland?
important?
They're coming from Portland. Well, I think it's always good to like, hey, let's combine rides and stuff.
Right. Water storing tote.
Water storing tote. Oh, okay. Ooh, cool. And I think
could probably fit. You might end up having to be in the back of my truck, but I could probably get you there from if you're in the Flathead Valley and you want to go and don't mind being in the back of a pickup truck.
Man, it seems like there's a lot of people that have been involved in our stuff here that are all up in your neck of the woods. Bill's going to be here. He's coming. He's like from your neck of the woods.
Well, it turns out our neck of the woods are the best neck of the woods. And so that's why more people are here. Even though you have a higher population, it's what happens is you guys have the higher population, and then the smart ones in that population are like, oh, that's a better place, and then they come here.
I see. So it's only the attractive people that come here.
Yeah, that's it. So we got all the nerds. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, the Rocket Kitchen thing is a 3-day event, and it starts, I think, Thursday. So in 2 days, I think. And Ernie and Erica are en route right now. And so they'll be here tonight.
No, day after. I think they're staying the night at that other place.
Oh yeah?
I think they'll be there tomorrow morning, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe they're just doing dinner there.
I've got it that the off-grid Rocket Kitchen event starts on Thursday. I'm looking at it right now.
There you go. Man, I gotta. Okay, so first, what the hell is it? What's a Rocket Kitchen? Are you gonna put rockets on like a portable kitchen where you can fly it around to other places and cook stuff?
Okay. I mean, a big thing is, of course, I'm working huge hours every week right now because we're about to start a Kickstarter, and it's all about rocket ovens. And in fact, we're going to put out a few YouTube videos about rocket ovens really soon now. I've been, there's lots happening. So much, it's a lot of work. And so basically the difference between regular and rocket is going to be the insulated burn tunnel and heat riser, and of course everything we do is J-tube. L-tube, in fact, it's a very fascinating thing about L-tube versus J-tube. I mean, first of all, L-tube is just dumb. Why would you want to fuck with that? It's just weak. And so what happened is that Ianto Evans lived at Aprovecchio. And there got to be this, there was this guy there that was basically saying, like, everything Ianto did, he said, I did that. He was like just setting claim to all of Ianto's work and claiming it as his own. And so finally there got to be this signed document, and Ianto was going to leave because he was just sick of all the shit. And so the signed document states that dumbass can have all the L-tube stuff that he wants, but dumbass insists that the J-tube is stupid. And so then Ianto, signed this thing, and in part, and this other guy signed the thing to work it all out. And it's like, okay, you can't have the J-tube. You can never talk about it. You can't. It was not invented by you. You hate it. It's not. But J-tube is the way to fly. And now that guy and all of Approvecho are not allowed to ever say anything good about J-tube. They can't have it. They can't look at it. They can't sniff it. Nothing. And so, all right. We like Ianto.
I didn't know there was big politics in Rocket Mass.
I know, but it's like, think about it. Think about all the shit you've seen me go through. Think about all the shit you've seen all these other guys go through, and it's like,
this is shit, and they're like building
where
really
the
shitty
fuck
thing.
does all this drama come from? Well, it comes from dumb fucks having access to media, and it's like, really. And it's like, so any dumb fuck can stand up and say any dumb fuck thing, and it could take years to get it sorted out. And it's like, oh.
And usually it's being said on the internet, which is forever.
Right. But it's kind of like, usually it's somebody anonymous saying dumb fuck things. And it's like, oh, listen to this source. This is so interesting, But it's like, hey, no, people who put their reputation on the line say stupid shit too. So it's kind of like, really? So yeah, you're being all surprised that there's like weird ass drama around rocket heaters. All right.
I just think there would be for that. But
you're asking a very reasonable question, which is like, what is a rocket kitchen? And it's like, all right.
I picture a Rocket Mass dishwasher. No?
Yeah, why don't you draw a picture of that?
No, what I picture is a Rocket Mass like stove and a Rocket Mass oven where you can be heating hot water on the Rocket Mass stove.
Yeah. So I think that we're probably gonna take the rocket oven that we have. We're probably gonna take it up there, and it'll be part of it somehow, maybe. But we've actually last year we built this skiddable canning kitchen, and we just finished the roof on it just like a couple of weeks ago. And so they're gonna take this up, and they're going to just and basically it's just a big room on skids, and now they're going to fill it out with all the things. And so there's a bunch of discussion about plumbing, but the 6 people that were selected to be in the class, the primary criteria for selecting them was, what skills do you already have? So a lot of these people with a lot of skills are also bringing a lot of materials because, we're broke.
That reminds me. All right, cool. All you people that are coming. Oh, Julia says 275-gallon IBC tote. Holy shit. You can fit people in that. All right. Barter blanket. I am bringing a bunch of shit because I want to do a barter blanket one on there. Like, I don't think you've experienced one. I've talked about it.
No.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring a bunch of shit and I'm going to do a barter blanket one of those nights. And so for those that don't know, a barter blanket is you bring stuff and then you put the stuff on the blanket and you say, that's what I have to offer. And then other people can put counter offers down on the blanket. And it's a ton of fun. And so I want to do it.
So I could go up there with my DVDs and cards or something. And
yeah, you have the benefit because you live there, so you don't have to haul a bunch of shit there to do it. Everybody else is gonna have to like bring stuff. But man, we've gotten, and other thing people do is they'll offer services at a barter blanket. They'll be like, I have a vacation home in Malibu or whatever. I will offer 1 week's free stay there for your item or whatever. Or consulting services. I'll do a permaculture design for you. Things like that. So people do that kind of stuff too. It's a ton of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, what's next on the list? So that's you good on the Rocket Kitchen? I think this is. I'm excited about the event. It's always great when Ernie and Eric are here, so I'm so much going on. So we're trying to get Willow Wonka moved up there right now, and this is so Sandy, I know you're listening. You got to pass on to Bear Paw. Those skids on that Willow Wonka are too short, and it's so now we're trying to figure out a way to get it onto the trailer to get it up there, despite the problem with the skids.
Why are they too short?
Yeah, you got to ask your dad. Okay.
No, I'm saying, what's the problem? How are they too short? Like, why are you saying they are too short?
Okay, so one of the things is that so the idea is you got these logs that go underneath it. Those are the skids, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a hole in the logs. But when I went up there and I saw them putting it together, and so your dad was there and a couple of the boots, and I said, that looks way too short to me. And so basically what they're trying to do is to make the skids as short as possible. Mm-hmm. And I said, you want like a lot of length coming out of that, because that helps to give stability as you're like skidding it. And then the other thing is that the hole in the skid, if you don't put enough meat in the log between the hole and the end of the log, it tries to pull that wood out. And that's exactly what happened today. And so now they're trying to come up with a way to move this without ripping that hole any bigger. But so Fred and I came up with a plan to do it. I don't know if it's working or not because I'm doing the Permaculture Smackdown instead. But I also came up with a longer term plan, like the idea of let's make 2 new skids and we'll attach the old skids to the new skids that are the right length. And so the whole Willow Wonka will go up in the air like 6 inches because it's on top of these bigger skids.
Okay.
But there you go. That's a thing Anyway. So
Fred's really mad at Bear Paw right now. Don't have to do a bunch of extra work.
I don't know. Have you ever seen Fred be mad at anybody?
I've seen him frustrated, but no, never mad.
I've seen him frustrated.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's rare.
It's really rare. But Fred's.
Which is surprising. I think if I was in his shoes, I would be frustrated all the time.
I think the great thing about Fred is that because he's so smooth, everybody likes doing stuff with Fred. I think if it was me, people would get frustrated. And,
if it's like Paul and Fred are out there and you get to choose which team you want to be on, it's Fred all day.
Oh, I got it. There's a message in our chat thing says to check my email. Do you want one of these? I've got Elliot on the phone right now.
You're gonna check. How did this turn into a message service?
I'm trying to pull it up. It's not. I'm not seeing it. Did it go to spam? No, it did not go to spam.
All right. While you're checking your email for this important message.
Are you all done with Rocket Kitchen?
Yeah.
Got everything you wanted for Rocket Kitchen?
Yeah, I think so. Anybody else got questions about Rocket Kitchen?
So you want to talk about your thing now, right?
Yeah.
One item? Okay.
Yeah, I only put one item in there. All right, so here we go. The timber framing term for that skid issue is purchase. There's not enough purchase between the hole and the end of the skid. Thanks, Jim. No wonder you're flying all over the place. I'm a smart guy. All right. I want to talk about mutual aid groups, MAGs. So we launched ThriveThrough. I don't know if I talked about that even on Permaculture Smackdown yet, because last week we didn't have a show. We launched ThriveThrough. So ThriveThrough.com, like we will thrive through it all, ThriveThrough.com. It is it's free to join. Anyway, we're starting up MAGs, which are mutual aid groups, and we've got MAG states so far. Like that's the first thing we got is you go to whatever state you're in, and you can join the MAG group club there, and so like the Montana MAG, and then you can join MAG, and MAG's awesome. It's mutual aid groups, which is basically people getting together. Usually this is done in like the prepper communities, but it is to form a team. of people that, like, if shit goes wrong, you have a support group of people, mutual aid group. So like, house burnt down. Hey, mutual aid group, can I come stay at one of your places because I don't have a house, or anything? It could be anything. It's just a support group, but I think they're really cool, and I hope you are part of one. You should be. It's just smart, and it's good community, and you go do a bunch of cool shit together, and it's a lot of fun. It's kind of, it reminds me of permaculture blitzes, but like more community oriented. Permaculture blitzes is like, hey, we want to do a permaculture thing at this place. Everybody get together and help do that. And this is that plus, any kind of emergency stuff that happens. You just form a team of awesome people, and then you have support. So there you go. I got my shit out of the way.
All right. So my next note is the schmoozeroo.
Yeah.
And I think we mentioned that already. Everybody's invited for as long as you want. Come for the full
event. It's a bring your own beer and food thing, right?
Yeah. And you can watch the clouds pass if you want, or you can play, jump into the boot camp stuff and the projects going on. But you can visit with the PDC students. You can visit with the instructors. Maybe you want to jump in and be an instructor for a couple of hours. It's the peasant PDC, so the standards are low.
Well, what's cool about being at Paul's is randomly weird people will just show up. They're like, "Holy shit, how's it going, man?"
Yeah. Celebrities.
Yeah.
Celebrities, and then other people that aren't celebrities but are really cool.
Yeah. Those are usually the smarter people, I feel. Like the people that haven't been discovered yet because they're not promoting shit. They're out busy doing shit. And then, like they're always out working on their homestead, and they have a ton of knowledge and information, and they don't know how to use a computer, or they're just too busy to write articles or whatever. They just have a shitload of knowledge. Well, they end up at Paul's at some point. You get to meet them, and then you just learn a bunch of cool stuff. I love it.
So, let's see. So when I think of like who's just coming by unannounced, then I'm thinking about like Thomas Elpold, the author of Botany in a Day. And so he lives a couple of hours to the east, and it seems like, he'll be passing through and he'll just stop by and say howdy, check how things are going and stuff like that. But you never know when he's going to come by. And but he's well known. But there's, so some people are well known and some are not. I mean, Mike Ayler had been here like 3 or 4 times. And it seems like a bunch of people here wanted to go to Mike Ayler's place. And so then they'd all pile into the van that we have here and go up there for, a couple of days.
Justin Rhodes, Dan Oman, a bunch of people have come on there. Me,
yeah,
I've been there. Yeah. I'm semi-popular.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, some of them are famous, some of them are not, and a lot of really fantastic people.
Yeah.
So always a good time. All right, so the schmoozeroo is something more formal. I know that there are a lot of really cool people that are coming to that. Zach Weiss will be here. We could look at the list of. I mean, a lot of the people that are coming, wrote to the schmoozeroo thread that they're coming out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know Zach was coming.
So yeah, Zach's going to be here for probably 4 or 5 days.
Zach's got you can see he's got like an hour more, maybe 2 hours of presentation during the PDC up at Permies.
Yeah. Yep. And the Peasant PDC, there's still tickets. Real cheap PDC. Like, I think it's like $500. I'd have to pull up the page to be sure.
Good for people that work and are busy.
What?
I like the Peasant PDC because you can be like working full time and still get a PDC.
No, you're thinking of something different.
No, because you can come. It's drawn out for a long period of time, right?
Yeah.
So you can come on the weekends.
It's a month long. You don't come on the weekends.
Oh, it's not on the weekends. Oh.
If you want to get certified, you got to be there during the course part, which is, it's all month. So basically, it's kind of designed for college students. So college is about to let out for the summer.
Uh-huh.
And so
I see what you're doing.
What we did is we set it up so that because we've got the formal PDC starting here, and I can see Alan is one of our people that's part of our thing right now. But the homesteading PDC, which is a very formal PDC, and this year's PDC is very academic. We're gonna have microscopes. Alan, the primary instructor, is an engineer. Tara, the assistant instructor, is a scientist. And so it's very much geared to engineers and scientists and teachers. And so the timing of it was selected to be at a time when teachers have time off. And so, but that's a formal 2-week PDC, which includes food and all that stuff. And
but
so
that's not the peasant PDC.
No, the formal homesteaders PDC, which would be for an emphasis this year for scientists and engineers and teachers. That's going to start, I think it's like 4 days after the peasant PDC ends, I think. And so maybe you might want to pull it up or something. I don't know. But then we're going to have that's immediately followed by the appropriate technology course. But the peasant PDC is something where it's less formal. And whereas with the formal PDC, we've lined up, powerhouse guest instructors. And then the peasant PDC is like we've lined up a few guest instructors, but it's like a little hit and miss whether they'll actually show up or not. Oh, there you go.
This is the formal PDC.
Right. Oh, and you get the dates for all 3 events right there.
The homesteaders PDC.
They're all back to back. And look, there's Alan. There he goes. Look, that's a microscope.
There's Alan. There's a good picture, Alan. Look how smart that guy looks.
Look at that fat bastard in overalls. What the hell is that?
Oh, there's Chris. Chris is so much fun. He's a cool guy.
There's Tara. Jessica. Giant doofus.
I didn't know he was going to be a guest instructor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lane.
Yuppers.
Chris Borden. Another smart dude. He does a Sage Mountain Center. I feel like not enough people know about that. That is a cool building.
That is very cool.
Okay, here's the schedule. So here's like the daily. Anyway, I think we've done this. We've gone through this. They all know. So there it is. Go to richsoil.com/PDC.JSP. That's right there. And then the peasant PDC is PPDC, I believe. Yep.
Yeah.
And there's all the dates. There you go. Did you want to see anything else on here? I can't remember. You want to see guest instructors or something?
No. We gotta get on with this. We gotta get on with this show. We got this. Look, we're halfway done already.
Hey, let's pause. Ben's got a question. We got a question coming in. Ben says, okay, this is weird. Ever have the problem with someone from a non-white guy demographic asking for your advice or consultation, and then realizing in the midst of trying to help them that they, maybe with understandable reasons, don't really want to hear what another white guy has to say? How do you approach this? I imagine this has come up before with others in permaculture aid and service projects, with white guys coming in to advise on how to fix problems largely created by other white guys. Okay, so that'd be like, if I imagine this would be really popular or happening in like a really heavily urban environment where you're coming into like a rural community and you're saying, or an urban community to set up a permaculture garden or something, and you're like, permaculture is great and this is how you can make your lives better, and then you're surrounded by like African Americans or Mexicans or whatever, and you're a white guy. I haven't experienced this, by the way, but I could see where maybe there'd be tension there or something. But really, I don't know. I just don't really. I never really even think about color. Like if I go somewhere and I'm surrounded by a bunch of African Americans, I don't think about it. Or like when I'm talking to them, I don't feel like I'm different than them. But I guess they do. I don't know. I don't have to deal with it. That's my answer. I've never had to deal with it or worry about it. I don't know how I would approach it. I guess I would approach it as just saying that. Like, I'm not. Yeah, I agree. I'm not from here. I just know what works best for with my background and experiences and what I've seen. And you guys can try it if you want, or don't.
Yeah, I'm baffled by the question. Also, I feel like, I mean, first of all, we had a lot of races here, like coming through, but I guess it's been mostly white.
Oh, Ben says, I'm working with a tribe that was subjected to horrible genocide about 100 years ago, and I don't think about it until they bring it up. Oh, man. 100 years ago? Well, it wasn't you. It's like, there's zero possible way it was me, guys. I promise.
Right. So, all right.
Man,
so
that's a tough one. I don't know. You know, I imagine Alan Savory has gone through that a lot. I'll bet he has a lot of experience with that because he does a lot of stuff in like Africa.
Yeah. I think that first of all, I can't even imagine the scenario. I'm trying to think of like anything that's race related to permaculture, and I think the closest thing I got is that I attended a PDC as a guest instructor several years ago, and it was on the Flathead Reservation, so up near you. I think you came for the SEP event part of it.
Yep, I was there. Yeah.
And what they did is that for the PDC part, they said that they're going to give away like 10 tickets to members of the tribe or something like that. And so then there were like 6 members of the tribe who came by for an hour and then they left. So they could have had free tickets, but they just were kind of like, not my thing. And so then they left.
Well, so, that could be where they're saying it's a bunch of white people telling us how to live. You know, that's how they could be viewing it. Well, what reminds me of is I can't remember what the term is in Hawaii. They call white people something. I can't remember what it is. It's not gringo. Anyway, it's the same kind of thing. It's like they've got a tight community, and it's some white guy coming and telling them how to live. Is the kind of the way it's viewed. It's sad. I don't think it should be viewed that way, but it's understandable. They've gone through horrible shit with white people.
Well, I kind of feel like I know that during that event, the tribe asked me to come to their powwow site, and I think it was in Elmo, and give them advice.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a bunch of tribal people there listening to what I had to say. And mostly I was bashing on what the previous people had given him advice about. But it's kind of like, in that scenario, like, why should we listen to some white guy telling us what to do? And in that case, no one did that because they asked me to be there. If they don't want to hear from some white guy, why would you ask him to be there?
Well, there will be ones that, all right, so this is probably or potentially what happened is that you get invited to come speak because there are open-minded people in the community. They bring people, you in, you speak, and then they will so you give good advice, and they're like, let's do it. Let's do what that guy said. But others in the community will say, no, like that's some white guy. Why should we listen to him? You know, it's just social. That's just social shit that happens because you're not.
What does that have to do with race? What does that have to do with why,
it's not really, I don't think,
not white.
People say it's race, but I don't think it is. I think it's social. It's the social standards. Like, because you're not part of their society, their close-knit society, and it's not really race, but they just know that you're not because you're white. You're like, they know you're probably not part of their social community, like how there were social ways. Like, it's like America going to Afghanistan and saying, this is how you should do shit. This is how you should live. And then all of them going, fuck you. You don't know anything about our lives and our social, how our social standards are. Like what our lives are about, why we do things the way we do them. And why, you say they're wrong, but we've been doing them that way for thousands of years and we think it's right.
Well, all right. So I haven't been to Afghanistan. let alone being in Afghanistan holding a gun and saying, you all are going to do things our way now because we got like big guns. And so I have never had to do that. But I have been to events where I was invited and then somebody stands up to say, I'm a dumb fuck, and so I want to say things different than what you're saying. Which, you know, then I'll point out that why would you, as a dumb fuck, want to draw attention to that? But anyway, I mean, that comes up once in a while. I think one time I was giving a presentation on something, and some woman just what happened to be walking by, and it was a free presentation. Most of the presentations I give are free. And so she happened to be walking by in the library and like popped her head in and started waving her hand at the back of the room and like, what about native plants? And it's like, oh, thank you for pushing that button, you dumb fuck. And so, you know, a little bit off topic, but sure, let's spend a few minutes pointing out how you're dumb. And so I don't recall anybody like any particular race doing anything different than anybody else. We got dumb fucks in every race. So I don't know, when it comes to race stuff, I mean, I kind of feel like for what Ben is asking, I think a good one to ask would be that gal that wrote The People of Cascadia, Heidi Bohan. I got a few videos of her on my YouTube channel. But she wrote that book, The People of Cascadia, and she's told me some stories, like, because all her stuff is about Native American folk, and you know, talking about how things were 500 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so then some of them kind of get a little uppity, like, how dare you tell us how things were 500 years ago? But the thing is that Heidi Bohan has done the legwork and the research and has the information, whereas the person that's saying, how dare you, generally has barely paid attention to her own heritage and doesn't really know.
Or they have one side of the story. And they're expecting that you have the other side of the story.
Whatever. So the important thing is that Heidi has pointed out that in the Native American culture, usually what it is that rather than getting into it, then you kind of go, she calls it Indian time. And here's how it works. You just leave for a couple weeks. And then you come back, and it's like that little disagreement never happened. That's just how it all works.
That's interesting. It reminds me of, all right, so I read somewhere that this used to happen. I think it was just a tribe that was doing this, but they would go, or maybe it was a couple tribes, but they would go when the white settlers were coming. They were afraid of all these white people coming with their guns and like, they're going to, what are they, you know, they don't know what's going on. What are they going to do about all these people? And so they would steal the children of these white settlers' families so that there wouldn't be war. So it was like, we're going to take your kid so that you guys won't attack us because we have your kid. You won't attack your kid kind of mentality. I don't know.
All right. I want to address Ben's thing here, and he's written some more stuff. And I kind of feel like, all right, Ben, you know what? I've never, ever been in your situation, so I can't really give advice, but you asked, dumbass. So here I'm going to take a stab. And that is, if somebody starts saying, why should we listen to you because you're white, and it was the white people who fucked it all up to begin with, or whatever, or those other guys did and they happen to be white, or whatever. I think my position would be like, if you want me to go, I'll go. I don't really care. I've been paid to come here and try to help out, but I'm not really like a psychologist or something. You'll have to talk to somebody else. Maybe you need to talk to like a politician or two or three and tell them how angry you are. I am just a guy that has been trained in a certain level of expertise, and I was told to come here and answer questions. And I don't know how to respond to the question being like, hey, you fucking white, man. Can't you stop being so fucking white? It's like, I don't know how to answer that.
In my experiences with those kind of situations, and really the closest experience I have is Afghanistan. So I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but with my experience, it is to show them what I'm trying to accomplish there, or get them to do. Like, show, here it is live. This is how it works, and you either like it and use it, like just make sure they understand what you're doing and how it works, and they'll either pick up on it, and you'll come back and you'll see whatever you're doing all over the place, or they'll totally have dismantled it, or just are not using it at all, because some things are like, whoa, it works really great, but it doesn't fit with their society, and so they won't use it, and it just happens sometimes. So but I think the best way to do is to just if you're building something like doing earthworks or something like that, you just build it and say, there it is, here's how it works, kind of show them things, show whatever it is that you're trying to do and why it's beneficial to them, and just hope they adapt it. But you can't just push it on them, obviously.
You know what? I'm gonna speculate that it has nothing to do with race, and it has everything to do with somebody just being a dumb fuck. And it's kind of like, I don't want this. And so what have I got? Let me dig around in my bag of stuff to bitch about. And like, well, I'm not white and this guy is white. So here's, hey, don't you think it's rude for you to be so fucking white? As like, that's all he's got. And it's like, no, I feel okay being white.
Yeah, I get sick of white guilt stuff. Pisses me off. Like, I swear I did not enslave any of your people or any. Like, I didn't do it, guys. I got nothing to apologize for. It sucks that it happened. It wasn't me. It won't be me. I'm not that person. I don't know how else to approach it. I'm sick of the white guilt stuff. Let's move on, Paul.
All right.
Good question there, Ben. That got us going on.
We've had pushing 1,000 people come through here, and there's been a lot of different races. We have never had anybody ask me, why am I so damn white, or anything like that. A lot of people ask me, why am I so fucking fat? Old, obnoxious, all kinds of. I mean, I guess I provide fuel other than being white. Maybe this is a compliment to Ben that he's got everything else going on for him. Ben, maybe you should wear some really awesome clothes like overalls. If suddenly overalls aren't acceptable. They don't give a shit about you being white anymore, but that's the one thing they could come up with. Just
wear overalls and walk around yelling at people, being obnoxious, and lo and behold, they won't care if you're white.
and give them something to bitch about.
All right, Huckleberry Pies.
Huckleberry Pies. Yeah, there you go. It's like, I'm sorry I'm white. Here's Huckleberry Pie.
Ben says, I think I just look like Custer. Okay. What do we got next, man?
All right. Moongate.
So as soon as Paul says, hey, let's talk about Moongate, I'm like, are you telling me you think we didn't land on the moon? Is that what you're wanting to talk about? Like, this is like Watergate, like some kind of conspiracy? All right. What's Moongate?
All right. So basically, anytime you build, and actually Moongate, but all right, we're building a rock wall, and there's going to be a 2-foot diameter hole in the middle of the wall. And whenever you have a circular hole, then it's referred to as a Moongate. Whereas if you just have an arch, it's just an arch, right? Mm-hmm. But basically, I did some dry stack a couple of months ago. We made a little dry stack retaining wall, and it worked out great. Looks real nice. And then at some point in time, after it was all done, I was kind of talking about, it'd be cool is to build a Moongate, but I don't have the skills to do that. But maybe I need to try and build something small. So in the meantime, one of the boots that was here said, I am totally going to do that. Like on the weekends, I'm going to make that. And so we got to talking about it. Next thing you know, a bunch of us are excited about it. And so I picked up a couple of rock hammers. And because, you need a bunch of pieces that are kind of wedge shaped to do this. Mm-hmm. And it's like, So the rock we have here, I don't know what kind of rock we have here. Well, we have rock and we have stone. And apparently anybody who's been here that's been like a dry stack person has been like, you got to use stone. You can't use rock. You can't build anything out of rock. And I was like, I built that lovely retaining wall. And so there you go. So I created a thread at Permies called Moongate where I kind of gathered up some of these pictures. But that's clearly a dry stack Moongate.
Look, I can't. I would be afraid to walk under that. It looked like it's just gonna slip.
Then
Especially
don't walk
that one.
then don't walk under it. Just don't go anywhere near it. Just stay the fuck away.
No, I'll walk under it.
Yeah, you'll walk under it.
This one's cool.
Yeah. Oh no, there's a lot of these that are really, really cool.
So what I thought it was a regular arch with like a special cut in it or something to where it actually lines up with the frickin' moon at some point.
No. I'm not going to try and line it up with the moon. I'm just building something out of dry stack that's going to have a round circle hole in it.
It looks like it's ready for a Hobbit door.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So right now, we've been building one of these that is going to be small. So the hole will have a 2-foot diameter. And we're just starting to get to the bottom. We've built the wall up high enough that the bottom of the circle is starting to get defined. And we're doing it on the weekends. And so that's what's going to be going on for probably the next few weekends here. There's that. And then once we've done that and lessons have been learned, then we're going to start on the one that's going to be a 7-foot diameter circle. And at least that's plan A. But I got some rock hammers in, and I went out, took all my rock hammers, because the retaining wall that I built, we just used the rocks that were already there, and we just stacked them as is, and it works really well in that way. And I've got about an hour to say about that, but and I looked it all up on YouTube after we started and found out that everything I was doing was correct. And so, but that's because I've read lots of books over the years, and I just never had an opportunity to actually start doing dry stack. So I'm doing it. So I was double checking on YouTube, and it's like, okay, I am doing it correctly. Yay. But you don't have to shape the rock. You don't have to do that. But I thought for the Moongate, yeah, I'm going to need to shape some of the rock. So I got out some rock hammers and sat down, tried shaping the rock. And what I learned is that I seriously suck at shaping rock. It's like I kept trying to shape it, and I would end up with just gravel. It's like, well, that didn't work.
They use a lot of slate. Is it a lot of slate rock, where you're having to chip away slate?
They use different stuff. I mean, there's different techniques for different kinds of rock, and I think somebody said that the kind of rock that we had is schist, which I thought that wasn't really a kind of rock when they brought it up. I said, it sounds like you're just trying to use a German word to say shit. and it's kind of like, I know it's a low grade rock. I mean, when we, in order for this place to exist, I mean, the property is like one giant rock. So they had to chip out rock in order to be able to plop this house here. And then when we built the road to the top of the volcano, that's digging out the same kind of rock. Then we hit, like right up near the top, we hit stone, and the excavator couldn't chip through that. So we had to go around it. That was an exciting day. But the point is that it's a rock that breaks relatively easily, not super easy, but kinda. But all right. The thing is that I put it on the list because, man, I just got so obsessed with like playing with the rocks.
They're cool. I was just, while you were talking, I'm looking at these pictures. It's like sucking me in. Just Google image search Moongate and you get sucked in there. Some cool shit.
Now my spinal cord stuff has started to come back though. And so I'm kind of wondering if I'm working too hard or something, but my arm's starting to really hurt again. But fortunately, we got the boots here, and they're young, and they don't have spinal cord problems yet. Yeah, and they were into it. They're right in there, and it's cool. I'm so excited. I haven't been this excited in a long time. What was the thing earlier today? Oh yeah, okay. Anyway, next on the list, morel mushrooms. They're in season. People have been the boots here have already brought in quite a few, and so great success right now with morel mushrooms around here. So when this event is going and when all the people come out here for the schmoozeroo, now's morel hunting season.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't know if we're gonna have any morels after this event. they're so good.
Oh yeah, they've been coming back with quite a few. The next item I got is siege ladders. Is this
part of the Moongate thing?
No. But well, you know how we got those steep berms like right next to the house, right? And it's like because the whole property is one giant rock, and we want to do hugelkultur, and at the same time there's a county road, like we're right next to this county road, and it's like, okay, how do we make it quieter here? And the thing is to build a berm.
Yeah.
And we put hoogly bits in the berm as we built it up. But now it's like a lot of this is kind of difficult to garden because it's, up a ways. So what we've been doing is we've been getting some of these big logs and laying them down on the berm, and we're going to start connecting those logs up to have a network of, we've been calling them siege ladders, so we can go up there and back down really easily and access all of it.
That's so much better than I thought it was. What I thought it was like, so you remember those berms we built? Well, the neighbors found a way around it. Fucking siege ladders. Okay, so yeah, you actually talked to Bear Paw about this. We called him up, and you had questions about like how to move the logs. That's the same project, right?
So yeah, the Smackdown 2 weeks ago is how to move the logs. That's what we were currently facing on that day.
Yeah,
and so we did in fact, we were about to implement his idea, and because what he did was, remember, he left because he had to go do a job.
Yeah.
And it turns out that he'd much rather make drawings for me than go do his job. So in my email, a little like an hour after the show, I got this email from your dad, like, here's how you do it. And and so I'm like, yeah, that would totally work. And so, but as we got in there, and it's kind of like, it's so awkward to be in there in all the different ways. It's like what your dad said would be a way that would definitely work, but it would take a long time to do it correctly.
Uh-huh.
And basically I was really worried about everybody. I didn't want anybody to get anywhere near a heavy log that's going to be rolling around. Mm-hmm. But we picked a spot where we wanted the log to go. And so here's what okay, everybody back up, and I'll drive the tractor in case anything goes wrong. So I drove the tractor because I was so worried if anything happened, and what I did was I basically picked up one end with the bucket and kind of flung it up there.
Oh, jeez.
And I mean, this is probably pushing a ton.
Yeah.
And where it landed was not where I wanted it. But when we pulled the tractor out, we kind of did, what do you think? And it's like,
make this work.
It's like, it's art.
Yeah. We meant to do that.
It's weird like that because it's pretty. So we decided that's good. We're gonna leave it there, and now we're gonna start doing all the bear paw whittly kind of things to kind of get the next piece to fit in, and so on and so forth. But I suddenly got this whole rock thing in my head, and now it's like whenever I get a spare moment, I want to play with rocks instead. So
Ben says on my bigger hugel beds, which are 4 to 6 feet, I've used 2-foot rounds as steps and perches to work from and keep the whole bed in arm's reach. It essentially creates a bunch of keyholes spaced 4 feet apart, all along a 8-foot wide bed.
So Ben, have you posted pictures of that to Permies?
Yep, and here we are moving logs when we could just be cutting them up.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what it is he's done. Now, my only concern is that if I were to do this with logs, I would want to have the log rest in the wood. Let's see if I can do this right. Rest in the wood like this, as opposed to taking a chunk and putting it in like that. Because you put a chunk in like that, then that log that's in there is now going to wick water out.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll dry your bed. And so if you put it on its side, because you got to picture blocks of wood as like a collection of a whole bunch of straws. And so if you put it on its side, then the ends are going to be touching the soil, but it'll be like, it'll wick water through to where there's already stuff to be wicking. So it won't dry out the bed as much. So Ben says he will post these pictures out to Permies.
Cool.
All right. So there you go. Moongate, morel mushrooms, siege ladders. We got 6 new staff members at Permies.com.
Hell yeah.
I think
I'm teaching one of them.
I think they haven't been publicly announced yet. Yeah, we got a brand new system for new staff.
Or I'm supposed to be teaching them, I should say.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Get to it. Get to it. Then there's the critical mass thing, which the show is about. We'll see if I can do this really quickly. And that is that somebody brought up a thread that I posted like 5 years ago, a long time ago, where I'm listing off what is it that I hope to do with this property. Mm-hmm. And there's the stuff about the Wafadis. There's the stuff about being able to cure cancer. There's the stuff about, there's a long list of stuff. And one of the things I said is that when it comes to community, I want to be able to reach critical mass. I think critical mass is really important. And that's where you're going to need to have because like last fall, we had 2 booths here around Thanksgiving, like mid-November. And then one of them was like going to go away for the holidays and come back. And the other one was kind of like, well, then I'll be the only booth here. And so then it's like, because I'm sitting in my office pretty much 12 hours a day plus. And so if you're a boot, you're like, now I want to visit with people and play checkers and whatever. And it's like, Paul's in there, and Jocelyn also works, 12 to 16 hours a day every day. And then, Fred comes down and leads the boot camp, and he'll usually hang out with the boots in the evenings. But, he's got his whole life going on too. He's got a bunch of stuff going on. So then it's like, if you've only got 2 boots, it's like, well, I guess I get to visit with you, and that's it. And if one of them leaves, then you're kind of like, in a way, not exactly, but kind of here all by yourself. But if you've got 20 people here, then there's plenty of people to hang out with and play board games with, or
totally different vibe.
Watch those. A bunch of us have been watching on some of the evenings. We've been watching Star Trek Discovery.
You had brought that up, and so I was like, what the fuck? So I went and watched it. I was like, oh, I've seen this. That's like a year old, man.
What?
Yeah, I saw that.
It came out last fall. So it's less than a year old.
Anyway, I've seen it. Maybe it was this winter I watched it. But anyway, yeah, that was cool.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It's a huge. So anyway, we've been kind of like, there's 4 of us that will get together on a few evenings and watch Star Trek Discovery. But the thing is, critical mass is like, as long as there's only, if there's not critical mass, then a lot of people are kind of like, what do I do in the evenings? And then, and it's like, if you're bonkers about permaculture and you're bonkers about homesteading, there's tons of stuff to do in the evenings, gobs of stuff. There's like no end of stuff to do. But a lot of people don't want to do it by themselves, or at least they don't want to learn this stuff by themselves.
Yep.
And so,
yeah, it's the same with forums. Like, if people aren't active on the forums, then people get bored. And they're like, well, I'm just talking to myself. Or, it's hard to keep motivated.
So I think it's important that we reach, we got to get the critical mass. and I'm hoping that the Schmoozeroo, the Peasant PDC, and all of these events, people are going to come and help us reach critical mass, and then it's a place where people want to live, and then we'll have 20 people living here year round. Yay! And then, but I kind of feel like all of the projects depend on hitting that critical mass. So that's such an important thing.
Ben says 8 to 12 people has been proven to be an ideal group size for outdoor education and recreation.
Yeah, and so like let's say you have 8, and then 2 or 3 people will head out for the weekend. Now you're down to 5. Now what? You know, and or it's the holidays, and people are going to be gone for a month because they're going to go and do Thanksgiving and Christmas with their families or something, and so now you're down to 3 people. Now what? And so,
you know what, though, if you're with those 12 people all the time, sometimes that can be really nice. Get some alone time.
Well, so what happened last winter is that there was going to be one booth here, all by herself, and then there was like a the guide left, and then she's like, I'm going to head out and see my family for the holidays too, and then since the one guy wasn't sure when he's going to come back, like maybe January, or whatever. And then she was like, I'm not sure when I'm coming back. So basically they both there they went. And so then Fred came back, then people started coming back again. But it's like, really what we need is critical mass, So the next item I got on the list, and this is the last item for today, is I had a mention from somebody that I thought was really interesting, and they said that community is the best thing in the world for somebody who's trying to recover from being angry. And so this guy was telling me that he was an angry dude, and that community was so powerfully healing for him to stop being angry when he's with a bunch of really lovely people.
Yeah, they're all miserable now, but it was great for me.
And I kind of feel like a large enough community, it's like, yeah, they can. But, we did that. We had a guy, and we thought that by coming in and hanging out with a bunch of smooth permaculture people, that that'll
chill him out.
Yeah. And it did. It totally did. But it came at a price that was way too high. It really destroyed everything. And so he's more chill, but we finally had to have him go because it's like no one else wanted to be here to kind of heal this dude. And so it's like that came at a very high price. So I don't want to play that game again. But there you go. I thought I put it on the list, and there you go. That's the end of the list.
Well, so someone in the community, it's someone in the community who's like an angry guy. So now this person's yelling at people, and people are like, why the fuck are you yelling at me? But other people are like, I'll just do whatever he says because he's yelling. That'll shut him up. So you have that problem. But that can only last so long until they hit like, I can't take it anymore.
I think what it is like people generally don't want what's fair. What they want, or fair or just, what they want is peace.
Yeah. And
so if there's a loud angry dude or a loud angry woman, then it's kind of like, I'll just go along with whatever they say just so that the ugly stops, just so that the drama stops, so I can have a peaceful day. I just want to have a nice day. Is that too much to ask? So then they just go along with it, just to be like, just go along with whatever the angry guy says, because otherwise,
otherwise it's just better. Just do what he says. We know it's stupid and wrong or whatever. Just do it. We don't want to hear about it.
And of course, it's going to just poison everything, forever. And really, the thing you need to do is be like, dude, you either got to present your stuff rationally or you got to go, which is kind of how we run things at Permies.
Reminds me of the naggy girlfriend. Like, if I'm ever going, just do it, man. Otherwise, I'm going to hear all about it. I go, wait a minute. I could just never hear about this ever again.
Yeah.
I'd have a simple solution.
There you go.
Ben says, how can Permi communities learn from we deal with toxic materials in how we deal with toxic personalities? So treat the toxic personality like toxic material.
Ah, we need
So,
it to be more organic.
so one way that permaculture deals with toxic materials is healing the land around it as much as possible, so that it can fight and break down those toxic materials. I don't know how that would work with personalities. What do you think,
Oh,
Paul?
okay. Here's an important thing, and that is that when you're going to talk about, like, you've got a piece of land and you're going to use toxins or not use toxins, somebody's making that decision, right? And they're going to decide what is toxic, what's okay, and what is not okay. And so I think the same thing goes for, like, because a lot of that toxic stuff is relative. There's a lot of people out there that think that Roundup is great stuff and you should use it liberally all the time on everything. It's like fantastic. And then there's those of us who believe that, no, I don't want to ever use that. And so it's relative. So then you've got to have at least one person who's going to say, okay, on this land, this is the way we're going to do it. Now, there are going to be organizations that are going to be decisions are made through the group. And it's like, what if you've got half of your group thinks Roundup is great and half of your group thinks Roundup is awful? What are you going to do? I'm not sure. So this whole thing about a toxic personality, I think, is going to be relative. I've got an essay that I think is great. Maybe it's good for a Smackdown, which is called "Don't Be a Dick, Be a Dick," and it's kind of like, and I point out in there, I think the whole concept of being a dick is subjective, and it's also relative and oftentimes reflective.
Very often it's reflective.
Yeah, and so I kind of feel like when you're talking about toxic personalities, and if you're gonna point at somebody and say, "Boy, that's an angry person there. That's a lot of hostility there," I think that's going to be relative, and I think it's like, okay, well, on this property for this project, we're going to say we don't do Roundup, we don't do toxic yick, and we're going to draw the line. Whereas a lot of permaculture people are going to be like, putting cardboard on your growies is great. We're going to say, no thanks. Here. It's going to be more of a kind of thing. And then as far as figuring out who's toxic and who's not, then we're going to leave that decision to Paul the Magnificent. And then I want there to be people who are going to say Paul is not magnificent, and it's like, that's great. Don't come here. And it's like, wow, so then the people that come here think, yeah, Paul's pretty cool, and then you get an idea of like what people are going to be coming. But there have been people who've come here who thought I was great, but boy, they were really toxic, and then we had to ask them to leave.
Yeah, and I think that's all you can do is really set the standards as clear and defined as possible, so people have an understanding of what they're getting into, and then getting rid. You just got to cut the ties if something's toxic.
Ben says, be the best dick you can be.
Yeah, so great Smackdown. Next week, we're going to talk all about dicks. What I will do, John, I'm gonna send this video to Paul, and we are going to watch it, and I'll show it with everybody else here so they can watch it too if you want to know what we're going to talk about next week. So we can talk about this next week, possibly. I think we're doing a show next week. Am I going to be at your place next week?
I'm not sure. I think you're gonna get out of here just in time to go back to your place.
Yeah, I'll be right after that.
Now, you know that we can't hear this, right? Or unless you have a way so we can hear it.
I'm not going to show the audio. I just want to show the link there, or you can search for this video. This is what we'll talk about next week, because it was getting my juices going. So yeah. Maybe we'll talk about this. We'll watch it and review it and see if it's something we want to talk about. You guys can too if you want. I'll post it in chat for those that are our special peeps that are in the chat.
All right. So solar and wind and competence. Like, can we get an idea what's the general gist of this?
What I heard was this guy getting real angry at people about what they consider proper technology. There was people talking about oil bill and how horrible it was. And then one person was talking about how horrible electricity is. They're like, all electricity is just terrible. Like, what's wrong with candlelight? And I was thinking, man, there's a lot of cool shit electricity does. So anyway, that's kind of what I started hearing as it was playing in the background. I was like, I can't watch this now. I need to sit down and focus on it and either shit all over it or take it out of my life completely. So we'll see. I'll watch it, and maybe Paul and I will watch it together, and we'll decide if it's worth talking about.
You know, we did a Smackdown once a long time ago where we looked at Richard Perkins's video.
Awesome video, yeah.
And so it seems like there's a way to be able to do this. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, there is. I hear. Let's see if you guys can hear it. 1 second here. Share screen, optimize computer sound, share it. Oh, it wants to install audio drivers or something. Okay, let's try that one more time. Let's see if it worked. Okay, frame, optimize, share. Okay.
Of course, if you play it, then YouTube's probably gonna, you know.
If I play like 30 seconds, it'd be fun.
All right.
Probably. Oh. All right.
Solar cells you're using, solar, and especially utility scale solar, you've got to dope these silicon sheets. You got to have glass sheets, impact resistant sheets, aluminum frames, vapor deposition of the materials using vast amounts of energy. They're almost all refined using vast amounts of electricity. As you start to pay off that energy deficit, oops, I need more batteries. Oh, what do those take to produce? You get into things about the efficiencies. Not only does it decay over time, but you might just blow out your solar cell altogether when just something as basic as a maple leaf falls on the panel. You get a blank area in the solar cell. It almost acts like a capacitor, and the energy will build up behind that shadowed area of the leaf, and you'll get a burnt out section of your solar cell. So when you look at utility scale installation, it's a little bit of dust. Your efficiency, you can lose 10, 15% of your efficiency. So you're constantly cleaning these things.
Oh yeah, God.
You just feel there's something wrong with nuclear.
What was that?
That was part of the. That's like when I started really tuning it out.
The scream of the Fukushima's mothers.
She says naked.
I don't know, man. We'll watch it.
It says naked against nukes, but she's got clothes on. I think she's not as passionate about this as her PR program is.
We'll watch it, and maybe next week we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that video and dicks. That video, that'll be next. Remind us. Someone remember we were going to talk about dicks in a video, and maybe a combination of the two for next week's Smackdown. I'm sure Bear Paw is not coming next week. All right, guys. Great Smackdown. I think it was fun. I had a lot of good conversation. I'm going to drive my ass over to Paul Wheaton's.
See you in a bit.
Yeah, and I'll see you guys there. Hopefully.
Well, we're gonna keep going with the show with our peeps here, right? We're gonna
We have the after show. Yep.
The after show.
So for those that are supporters, stick around. Hey, Chloe. Looks like my mom's here. Stick around, and we'll chat with you guys. But we'll see everybody else next week. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Bye.